Marcus Cole sat alone at a small table in the corner of a fancy restaurant called the Starlight Lounge. He looked at his watch again. Then he looked at the empty chair across from him. The candle on the table was burning slowly, and the flame moved back and forth like it was laughing at him. He had been waiting for almost 1 hour now. His best friend Jake had told him about this new dating app. Jake had said it was special. He had said the computer program was very smart. It could find the perfect match for anyone. It looked at everything about a person. Their fears, their hopes, their favorite foods, even how they liked their coffee in the morning. Marcus had not wanted to try it. He was 42 years old. He had been alone for 5 years now. He had stopped believing in things like love and perfect matches a long time ago. But Jake had not stopped asking. Every week, Jake would call him and say the same thing. Just try it, Marcus. What do you have to lose? So Marcus had finally said yes. He had made a profile on the app. He had answered all the strange questions. And the app had found him a match. A woman named Emily. She liked hiking. She liked old movies. She worked as a teacher. She seemed nice. They had agreed to meet at this restaurant at 7 o'clock. It was now almost 8. Marcus picked up his glass of water and drank slowly. He was not surprised. Not really. This was how things always went for him now. He had learned a long time ago that good things did not happen to people like him. People like him were broken inside. Marcus had been a soldier. Not just any soldier. He had been a captain in the Earth Defense Force. He had fought in the war against the Dominion. He had been in many battles on many different planets. He had seen things that still visited him in his dreams at night. The worst had been the Battle of New Manila. It had happened on a colony world called Kepler 9. The Dominion forces had attacked without warning. There were thousands of them. Marcus and his team had only been 200 soldiers. But there were 3,000 civilians hiding in the underground shelters. Women, children, old people. They had nowhere to run. So Marcus had made a choice. He had told his soldiers to hold the line. No matter what. No matter how many enemies came. They would not move. They would not run. They would protect those people or die trying. The battle had lasted 19 hours. When it was over, the civilians were safe. Help had finally arrived. But 17 of Marcus's soldiers were dead. 17 young men and women who had trusted him. Who had followed his orders. Who had believed in him. Marcus carried their names in his heart like heavy stones. After the war ended, Marcus had come back to Earth. He had tried to live a normal life. But nothing felt normal anymore. He could not sleep without seeing their faces. He could not hear loud noises without reaching for a gun that was not there. He could not connect with other people. They did not understand. They could not understand. So he had stopped trying. Until tonight. Tonight he had put on nice clothes. He had combed his hair. He had come to this restaurant with something that felt almost like hope. And now he was sitting alone, feeling like a fool. He raised his hand to call the waiter. It was time to pay and leave. It was time to go home and tell Jake that he had been right all along. Some people were not meant to find love. Some people were meant to be alone. The waiter walked over with a small smile on his face. "Ready for the check, sir?" "Yes," Marcus said. "I think my date is not coming." The waiter looked at something on his small computer screen. His smile grew bigger. "Actually, sir, I have an update for you. Your reservation has been changed. Your date has just arrived." Marcus felt confused. "What do you mean? Emily is here?" "Your date is here, sir. She is walking in right now." Marcus turned his head toward the front door of the restaurant. His heart stopped. The woman walking through the door was not Emily. She was not human at all. She was very tall. almost 7 feet. Her skin was a deep blue color, like the sky just after the sun goes down. Strange patterns of soft light moved across her face and neck. They glowed and faded like gentle heartbeats. Her eyes were large and silver, like 2 moons. Her hair was long and dark, and it seemed to move on its own, like it was floating in water. She was an extraterrestrial, an alien. Everyone in the restaurant turned to look at her. Some people whispered to each other. Some people looked afraid. Some people looked angry. Even now, 10 years after first contact, many humans still did not trust the alien species that had come to Earth. The alien woman looked around the restaurant calmly. Her silver eyes moved from table to table. Then they found Marcus. She smiled. It was a strange smile. Her lips were darker than human lips. Her teeth were slightly sharper. But the smile itself was warm, friendly, almost shy. She began walking toward his table. Marcus felt his whole body go tight. His hand moved down toward his hip. It was an old habit. He was reaching for a weapon that he had not carried in 5 years. His mind was racing. What was happening? Why was an alien coming to his table? Was this some kind of mistake? Some kind of trick? But she kept walking. Her movements were smooth and graceful. She did not seem dangerous. She seemed nervous. She stopped at his table and looked down at him with those silver eyes. "Hello," she said. Her voice was soft and musical, like wind blowing through trees. "You are Marcus Cole, yes? I am your date for this evening." Marcus could not speak. He just stared at her. She tilted her head to one side. The glowing patterns on her skin turned a lighter shade of blue. "May I sit down?" Marcus finally found his voice. It came out rough and confused. Yes, sure, please." She pulled out the chair and sat down across from him. Even sitting, she was taller than most humans. She folded her hands on the table and looked at him with patience and kindness. "My name is Violet," she said. "I believe we have been matched by your human dating application. I hope this is acceptable to you." Marcus looked at this impossible woman. This alien. This creature from another world who was now sitting across from him at a romantic restaurant on a Friday night. He thought about leaving. He thought about saying this was all a big mistake. He thought about going home and never trying to date again. But something made him stay. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe it was curiosity. Or maybe it was the way she looked at him. Like she could see past all his walls. Like she could see the broken man inside. "Violet," he said slowly. "That's a nice name." She smiled again. The patterns on her skin glowed a little brighter. "Thank you, Marcus Cole. Now, shall we begin?" Marcus could not stop staring at Violet. He knew it was rude. He knew he should say something. But his brain seemed to have stopped working. An alien woman was sitting across from him at a dinner table. An alien woman who said she was his date. This was not how he had expected his Friday night to go. Violet waited patiently. She did not seem bothered by his silence. The soft glowing patterns on her skin moved slowly, like gentle waves on a calm ocean. Her silver eyes watched him with what looked like understanding. Finally, Marcus found his voice again. "I am sorry," he said. I was not expecting this. The app said my date would be someone named Emily." Violet nodded slowly. "Yes, I understand your confusion. The application had originally matched you with a human female. But there was a change in the system 2 days ago." "A change?" "The convergence algorithm was updated. It now includes members of my species in its matching process. Apparently, the computer program believes that you and I are highly compatible." She paused and tilted her head again. "Does this trouble you?" Marcus did not know how to answer that question. Did it trouble him? An hour ago, he would have said yes. An hour ago, The idea of going on a date with an alien would have seemed crazy, impossible, maybe even wrong. But now, sitting here, looking at her, he was not so sure. "I do not know," he said honestly. "This is all very strange to me." "I understand. It is strange to me as well." Violet's lips curved into a small smile. "In my culture, we do not have anything like your dating applications. When my people wish to find a life partner, we go through a very long process. Our families must meet and talk for many months. There are ceremonies. There are exchanges of gifts. There are tests to make sure we are genetically compatible. The whole thing takes about 3 years. 3 years? Marcus raised his eyebrows. That sounds exhausting. It is. That is why I decided to try the human way instead. Her smile grew a little wider. I thought it would be simpler. I did not expect my first match to look so frightened. Marcus felt his face grow warm. I am not frightened. I'm just surprised. Your body says otherwise. Violet leaned forward slightly. Your heart rate has increased by 40%. Your pupils are wide open, and I can taste the stress chemicals in your blood from here. Marcus blinked. You can taste my blood? From there? Not your blood exactly. The chemicals that your body releases into the air. My species has very sensitive senses. I can detect many things that humans cannot. She paused. I hope this does not make you more uncomfortable. It did make him more uncomfortable. But Marcus had been a soldier for 20 years. He knew how to hide his feelings. He took a deep breath and forced his body to relax. It is fine, he said. Just, maybe do not tell me everything you can sense about me. I think I prefer a little mystery. Violet laughed. It was a beautiful sound. Light and musical, like bells ringing far away. That is fair. I will try to be more careful. The waiter came over to take their order. He looked nervous. His hand shook a little as he held his notepad. It was clear that he had never served an alien customer before. Violet ordered something called a thermal plasma infusion. Marcus had no idea what that was. He just ordered whiskey and a steak. Simple, familiar, something to help calm his nerves. While they waited for their food, they began to talk. At first, the conversation was awkward. Marcus did not know what to say to an alien. He did not know what questions were polite. He did not know what might offend her. But Violet made it easy. She asked him simple questions about himself. Where did he grow up? What did he like to do? What was his favorite food? She seemed genuinely interested in his answers. She listened carefully and asked follow-up questions. Slowly, Marcus began to relax. He told her about his childhood in Texas. He told her about his mother, who had died when he was young. He told her about his father, who had raised him alone. He told her about the old house with the big yard where he used to play as a boy. In return, Violet told him about her home world. It was called the Sara. It was a planet covered mostly by water. Her people lived in great floating cities that moved with the ocean currents. The sky had 3 moons that created beautiful patterns of light at night. It sounds beautiful, Marcus said. It is, but it is also very far away. A shadow passed over Violet's face. I have not been home in 6 years. I came to Earth to study your species. My job is to understand how humans adapt to living on other planets. And what have you learned? Violet thought for a moment. I have learned that humans are very strange creatures. You fight wars that destroy your cities, and then you rebuild them. You hurt each other in terrible ways, and then you forgive. You lose everything, and then you start again. She shook her head slowly. My people would not do this. If we suffered the things your species has suffered, we would give up. We would accept defeat. But humans never give up. You just keep going, no matter what. Marcus was quiet for a moment. He had never thought about humanity that way before. To him, humans were just humans. Messy, complicated, often cruel. He had seen the worst of his species during the war. He had seen what people could do to each other when they were afraid. But Violet saw something different. She saw strength. She saw hope. She saw something worth studying, worth admiring. "I am not sure we deserve that much credit," Marcus said finally. "We are too stupid to know when to quit. That is not the same as being brave." Perhaps. Violet's silver eyes held his gaze. "Or perhaps you are too humble to see your own strength." The food arrived. Violet's drink was a tall glass filled with glowing orange liquid that seemed to move on its own. Marcus's steak looked very boring in comparison. He cut a piece and chewed slowly while watching Violet drink her strange beverage. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Of course. Why me? Out of all the humans on that dating app, why did you match with me?" Violet set down her glass. The glowing patterns on her skin shifted to a deeper shade of purple. It was the first time Marcus had seen her look uncertain. "The algorithm chose you," she said. "But I will admit, I looked at your profile before accepting the match. I read about you. I read about your military service, about what you did during the war." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. "You know about that?" "Yes. I know about the Battle of New Manila. I know you saved 3,000 people. I know you lost 17 soldiers." She reached across the table and touched his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. "I know you carry that weight every day." Marcus wanted to pull away. He wanted to change the subject. He wanted to leave. But he could not move. Her touch held him there like an anchor. "Why does that matter to you?" he asked. His voice was rough. Violet was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was soft. "Because I carry weight too, Marcus Cole. I carry 312 names. 312 people who died because of decisions I made. Because of orders I gave." She paused. "I thought perhaps you might understand. I thought perhaps we might carry our burdens together. Even if just for one evening." Marcus looked at this alien woman with new eyes. He saw the sadness hidden behind her silver gaze. He saw the pain she carried beneath her glowing skin. He saw a soldier, just like him. "Maybe we can," he said quietly. "Maybe we can." The restaurant had grown quieter. Most of the other customers had left. Only a few tables were still occupied. The waiters moved slowly, cleaning up and preparing to close. But Marcus and Violet did not notice. They were lost in their own world. A world of shared memories and old pain. Marcus had not talked about the war in years. He had tried once, with a therapist the military had made him see. But the therapist had not understood. She had nodded and written notes and said words like trauma and processing and healing. But she had never held a dying soldier in her arms. She had never felt hot blood running through her fingers while promising a young man that everything would be okay. She had never had to lie like that. But Violet understood. She did not nod or take notes. She did not use fancy words. She just listened. And when Marcus finished talking about New Manila, about the 19 hours of hell, about the 17 names he could never forget, she simply said, "Tell me their names." So he did. He told her about Private Tommy Lee, who was only 19 years old and had joined the army to pay for his mother's medical bills. He told her about Sergeant Lisa Park, who had a baby daughter waiting for her back on Earth. He told her about Corporal David Brown, who used to make everyone laugh with his terrible jokes, even in the worst moments. He told her all 17 names. And Violet listened to every one. When he was done, his throat was dry, and his eyes were wet. He had not cried in 5 years. He had thought he had forgotten how. But now the tears came anyway, quiet and slow, running down his weathered face. Violet did not try to comfort him with empty words. She just reached across the table and held his hand. Her cool fingers wrapped around his warm ones. And she waited. After a long moment, Marcus wiped his eyes with his other hand. "I'm sorry," he said. I did not mean to." "Do not apologize," Violet said gently. "Tears are not weakness. My people believe that tears are the way we release the weight we carry. Without tears, the weight would crush us." Marcus laughed weakly. It was a sad sound. "Your people sound wise. We have been around for a very long time. We have had many wars, many losses. We have learned some things." Violet paused. "Would you like to hear about my weight? About my 312 names?" Marcus nodded slowly. "If you want to tell me." Violet took a deep breath. The patterns on her skin dimmed, becoming darker and slower. It was like watching a sunset fade. "It happened during a war that your history books do not know about," she began. "It was between my people and another species called the Vorath. The Vorath were not evil. They were just desperate. Their homeworld was dying. They needed a new planet to live on. And they chose ours." She paused to take a sip of her glowing drink. Her silver eyes looked far away, seeing something that was not in the room. "I was a commander in our defense fleet. I was young, ambitious. I believed I could win every battle with clever tactics and bold moves. But war is not a game. War does not care about your cleverness. War only cares about destruction." Marcus nodded. He knew this truth well. "We were defending a city called Thiessen Prime. It was one of our oldest cities. 2 million people lived there. The Vorath were attacking with a massive fleet. We were outnumbered, but I had a plan. I thought I could trap them between our defense platforms and destroy them all in one brilliant move." Her voice grew quieter. "But I was wrong. The Vorath had anticipated my tactics. They had hidden ships waiting. When I moved our fleet into position, we were surrounded. I had to make a choice. Stay and fight, knowing we would all die. Or retreat and leave the defense platforms unmanned." "What did you do?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer from the pain in her eyes. "I retreated. I saved my fleet. But without our ships to support them, the defense platforms fell. The Vorath broke through and attacked the city." Violet's voice cracked. 312 people died before reinforcements arrived. 312 people who would be alive today if I had made a different choice. The restaurant was silent. Even the waiters had stopped moving. It was like the whole world was holding its breath. "That was 200 years ago," Violet continued. "My people live much longer than humans. But the weight has not grown lighter. I still see their faces when I close my eyes. I still hear their screams in my dreams." Marcus understood completely. He did not need to say anything. He just squeezed her hand tighter. They sat like that for a long time. Two soldiers from different worlds. Two people carrying impossible weights. Two hearts that had been broken by war and had never fully healed. Finally, Violet spoke again. "My people have a word for what we feel. We call it Velthora. It means the ghost burden. It is the weight of all the souls who died because of us. We believe they stay with us, not to punish us, but to remind us. To make sure we never forget what war truly costs." "Velthora," Marcus repeated slowly. The word felt strange on his tongue, but it also felt right. It was the perfect name for the thing he had carried for so long. "You carry Velthora too, Marcus Cole. I could sense it the moment I walked into this restaurant. It is heavy. It has been pulling you down for years. But you have not let it destroy you. You are still here. Still fighting. Still hoping." Marcus shook his head. I am not sure about the hoping part. I stopped hoping a long time ago. And yet you came here tonight. You put on nice clothes. You sat at this table and waited for a stranger. That is hope, Marcus? Even if you do not recognize it anymore. Marcus thought about that. Was it hope that had brought him here? Or just loneliness? Or maybe desperation? He was not sure anymore. The lines between those things had blurred over the years. Why did you really come here tonight, Violet? He asked, the truth. Violet was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I came because I am tired. Tired of being alone. Tired of pretending that I am strong when I am broken inside. Tired of carrying my Velthora with no one to share it with. She looked into his eyes. I have been on your planet for 6 years. I have met thousands of humans, scientists, politicians, soldiers, artists, but I never found anyone who truly understood. Not until I read your profile. Not until I saw your eyes in your photograph and recognized the same emptiness I see in my own reflection. Marcus felt something shift inside him. Something that had been frozen for a very long time began to thaw. It was small, just a tiny crack in the ice around his heart. But it was there. I think I understand, he said softly. Violet smiled. It was a sad smile, but also a beautiful one. Then perhaps this date was not a mistake after all. The waiter approached their table nervously. I am sorry to interrupt, he said, but the restaurant is closing soon. Marcus looked around. They were the only customers left. The candle on their table had almost completely burned down. Hours had passed without him noticing. Thank you, Marcus said to the waiter. Then he turned to Violet. Would you like to go for a walk? There is a park nearby. It is nice at night. Violet's patterns glowed brighter. I would like that very much. They stood up together. Marcus left a generous tip on the table. Then they walked out into the cool night air, side by side. Two soldiers. Two survivors. Two broken hearts that had somehow found each other. Neither of them knew what would happen next. Neither of them knew if this strange connection would last. But for now, in this moment, they were not alone. And that was enough. The park was beautiful at night. Old trees lined the paths, their leaves whispering in the gentle wind. Small lights hung from the branches, creating a soft golden glow. A few other couples walked along the paths, holding hands and talking quietly. The moon was full and bright above them. Marcus and Violet walked slowly, enjoying the peace of the evening. They did not talk much at first. They did not need to. The silence between them was comfortable. It was the kind of silence that happens between two people who have shared something real. After a while, Marcus began to tell Violet about his life before the war. He told her about building model ships with his father when he was a boy. He told her about the smell of the glue and the careful work of painting tiny details. He told her how he and his father would spend whole weekends together, working on those ships, talking about everything and nothing. I have not built one in years, Marcus admitted. After the war, I could not focus on anything. My hands would shake. My mind would wander. All those peaceful hobbies just stopped. Perhaps you should try again, Violet suggested. Sometimes we need to remember who we were before the darkness came. It helps us find our way back to the light. Marcus thought about that. It seemed too simple, too easy. But maybe that was the point. Maybe healing did not have to be complicated. What do your people do to remember the light? He asked. Violet thought for a moment. We sing. My people have songs for everything. Songs for mourning. Songs for celebrating. Songs for remembering. When I feel lost, I sing the songs my mother taught me when I was young. They remind me that I was once innocent, that I was once whole. Will you sing something for me? Violet looked surprised. Then she smiled shyly. I have never sung for a human before. Your ears might not hear it the way my people do. I would still like to hear it." So Violet began to sing. Her voice was unlike anything Marcus had ever heard. It was not like human singing. There were no words he could understand. Instead, there were layers of sound that seemed to weave together like threads in a tapestry. Some notes were high and bright. Others were deep and warm. They blended together in patterns that touched something deep inside him. The song was beautiful and sad at the same time. It made Marcus think of all the things he had lost, but it also made him think of all the things he still had. His life, his breath, the stars above him. This strange and wonderful moment. When the song ended, Marcus realized his eyes were wet again. "That was beautiful," he said. "What does it mean?" "It is called The Light Beyond the Storm. It is about a traveler who is lost in a great storm. The rain is so heavy she cannot see. The wind is so strong she cannot walk. She thinks she will die alone in the darkness. But then she sees a small light in the distance. She walks toward it. And even though the storm does not stop, she keeps going. Because as long as there is light, there is hope." Marcus nodded slowly. He understood that song better than he could explain. They continued walking through the park. They talked about small things now. Favorite foods. Favorite places. Marcus told Violet about a beach in California where he used to go surfing as a young man. Violet told Marcus about a floating garden on her homeworld where flowers bloomed in colors humans had never seen. For a little while, Marcus almost forgot about his pain. He almost forgot about the weight he carried. He was just a man walking in a park with a woman he liked. A simple thing. A good thing. But the peace did not last. They were passing through a more empty part of the park when Marcus heard voices. Loud voices. Angry voices. He looked up and saw 3 men standing on the path ahead. They were young. Maybe early 20s. They were holding bottles. They were drunk out and they had seen Violet. Well, said the tallest one. He had short blonde hair and a cruel smile. "Look what we have here, boys. A squid face in our park." His 2 friends laughed. One of them threw his bottle on the ground. It shattered with a sharp sound. Marcus felt his body change. His muscles tightened. His senses sharpened. He was not a man on a date anymore. He was a soldier again. Every instinct he had developed over 20 years of combat was suddenly awake and ready. "Keep walking," Marcus said quietly to Violet. But the 3 men moved to block their path. The tall one stepped closer. His breath smelled like cheap alcohol. His eyes were full of hate. "Where do you think you are going?" he demanded. "Do not you know that aliens are not welcome here? This is Earth, our planet. Your kind should go back to whatever hole you came from." Violet's patterns shifted to a deep red color. It was a warning display. Marcus had seen similar colors on other alien species. It meant danger. It meant she was ready to fight. "I do not wish for conflict," Violet said calmly. "We are simply walking through the park. We mean no harm to anyone. Shut up." The tall man shouted. He jabbed his finger toward Marcus. "And you? What kind of human are you? Dating one of these freaks? You are a disgrace. A traitor to your own species." Marcus felt the familiar cold anger building inside him. He had felt it many times during the war. It was the feeling that came before violence. The feeling of shutting off every emotion except one. The need to protect. "Walk away," Marcus said. His voice was quiet but hard as steel. "Walk away right now and nobody gets hurt." The tall man laughed. "Is that supposed to be scary? Look at you. You are old. There are 3 of us. What are you going to do?" His 2 friends moved to circle around them. Marcus counted their positions without seeming to look at them. 1 on the left, one on the right, the leader in the center. They thought they were being clever. They thought they had the advantage. They were wrong. Last chance, Marcus said. The leader threw the first punch. What happened next took less than 10 seconds. Marcus moved without thinking. 20 years of training took over. He caught the leader's fist and twisted his arm. He used the man's own weight to throw him into his friend on the right. They both crashed to the ground. The third man tried to grab Marcus from behind. Marcus spun, drove his elbow into the man's stomach, and then slammed his knee into the man's face when he bent over from the pain. 3 men, down, groaning on the ground. Marcus was not even breathing hard, but then the leader stood up again. There was blood on his lip. There was pure rage in his eyes, and there was a knife in his hand. "You are dead," he snarled. "You are both dead." He lunged forward with the knife. Violet moved faster than Marcus could follow. One moment she was standing behind him. The next moment she was between him and the attacker. Her hand shot out and grabbed the man's wrist. Just grabbed it. Gently, almost. The man screamed. His knees buckled. The knife fell from his fingers. His whole body shook like he was being electrocuted. But Violet was not doing anything visible. She was just holding his wrist. "Neural pressure points," she said calmly. "My species discovered them long ago. I am currently sending signals of extreme pain directly to your brain. The pain is not real, but your body believes it is. I can increase it, or I can stop. The choice is yours." The man was crying now. "Please, please, stop." Violet released him. He collapsed to the ground, sobbing. "Take your friends and leave," Violet said. Her voice was cold now. Not angry. Just cold, like ice. "If I ever see you again, I will not be so gentle." The 3 men scrambled to their feet and ran. They did not look back. Marcus stood there, breathing hard. The adrenaline was still pumping through his body. His hands were shaking. Not from fear. From something else. From the old familiar feeling of combat. "Are you all right?" Violet asked. Her patterns had returned to their soft blue color. The coldness was gone from her voice. Marcus looked at her. This alien woman who had just calmly disabled a man without even hurting him. This scientist who moved like a trained warrior. This stranger who kept surprising him. "You have combat training," he said. It was not a question. Violet nodded slowly. "I told you. I was a commander in my people's defense fleet. I have fought in battles you cannot imagine. I do not enjoy violence, but I know how to use it when I must." Marcus laughed. It was a strange sound. Tired and surprised, and somehow happy all at once. "You are full of surprises, Violet." She smiled. "As are you, Marcus Cole. I saw how you moved. Fast. Efficient. No wasted motion. You may have left the military, but the soldier never left you." They stood there in the quiet park, surrounded by the fading echoes of violence. 2 warriors who had both hoped to leave their fighting days behind. 2 people who had discovered that some things cannot be unlearned. "So," Marcus said finally, "same time next week?" Violet's patterns glowed brighter. "I would like that very much." 3 months had passed since that first strange night. Marcus stood on the balcony of his apartment, watching the sun set over the city. The sky was painted in shades of orange and purple. The first stars were beginning to appear. Somewhere in the distance, a ship lifted off from the spaceport, its engines leaving a trail of light across the darkening sky. Behind him, inside the apartment, he could hear Violet moving around in the kitchen. She was trying to cook human food again. It was not going well. There was a lot of smoke and some words in her language that sounded like cursing. Marcus smiled. He did that a lot now, smiling. It still felt strange sometimes. like wearing clothes that did not quite fit. But it was getting easier. The past 3 months had been the strangest of his life. Also the best. After that first date, they had met again. And again. And again. They went to restaurants. They walked in parks. They visited museums where Violet explained human art to him in ways he had never considered before. They watched old movies together, and Violet asked endless questions about why humans told the stories they told. Slowly, carefully, they had built something. Not just friendship. Something more. Something that Marcus had stopped believing was possible for someone like him. There had been hard days too. Days when the Velthera was too heavy. Days when Marcus could not get out of bed. Days when the 17 names echoed in his head so loudly that he could not hear anything else. On those days, Violet would simply sit with him. She would not try to fix him. She would not give advice. She would just be there, present, patient, understanding. And there were days when Violet struggled too. Days when the weight of her 312 names pulled her down into darkness. Days when she could not stop remembering the faces of the people she had failed to save. On those days, Marcus returned the favor. He sat with her. He held her hand. He let her know that she was not alone. They were both still broken. But somehow, being broken together was better than being broken alone. The smoke alarm went off in the kitchen. Marcus turned and walked inside. Violet was standing in front of the stove, waving her hands at a pan that was definitely on fire. Her patterns were flashing, and what Marcus had learned was frustration. "I do not understand your cooking methods," she said. "On my world, we use precise temperature control. Your fire is too unpredictable." Marcus laughed and grabbed a lid to cover the pan. The fire died quickly. He opened the window to let the smoke out. "That is part of the charm," he said. "Human cooking is an art, not a science." "It is chaos," Violet corrected. "Delicious chaos, but still chaos." She looked at the ruined contents of the pan with disappointment. She had been trying to make scrambled eggs. They were now black and smoking. "Perhaps we should order food instead," she admitted. "I think that is a good idea." They ordered from a small restaurant down the street. While they waited for the food to arrive, they sat on the couch together. Violet leaned against Marcus, her head resting on his shoulder. Her skin was cool against his. Her patterns glowed softly in the dim light of the apartment. On the coffee table in front of them sat a half-finished model ship. Marcus had started building it 2 weeks ago. His first model in 5 years. His hands still shook sometimes. He still made mistakes. But he was building again, creating instead of destroying. It felt good. "I have something to tell you," Violet said quietly. Marcus felt a small spark of worry. Those words rarely meant good news. "What is it?" Violet was quiet for a moment. Her pattern shifted through several colors before settling on a soft purple. "My research project on Earth is ending," she said. "The Scientific Council has decided that 6 years of data is enough. They want me to return to the Sahara to present my findings." Marcus felt his heart sink. He had known this moment would come. Violet had always been clear that she was a visitor on Earth. Her home was somewhere else. Somewhere very far away. "When do you leave?" he asked. His voice was steady, but inside he felt like something was breaking. "The ship departs in 3 months." 3 months. It seemed like both a long time and no time at all. "I see," Marcus said. He did not know what else to say. Violet sat up and turned to face him. Her silver eyes searched his face. "Marcus, I need to ask you something. And I need you to answer honestly." "Okay." She took his hand in hers. Her 4 fingers wrapped around his 5. Cool against warm. Alien against human. And yet somehow, perfectly right. "Would you come with me?" Marcus blinked. "What?" "To the Sahara. To my home world. Would you come with me? He stared at her. His mind was racing. Leave Earth? Leave everything he knew? Travel across the galaxy to a planet he had never seen, to live among a species he barely understood. Violet, I do not know if I can. Earth is my home. My whole life is here. What life? Violet asked gently. It was not cruel. It was just honest. Marcus, you have told me yourself. You have no family left. You have few friends. You work a job you do not care about. You live in an apartment full of empty rooms and painful memories. What is holding you here? Marcus opened his mouth to answer, but no words came out, because she was right. What was holding him here? Fear? Habit? The ghosts of the past? On the Sara, you could start fresh, Violet continued. You could build a new life. You could heal in ways that might not be possible here, surrounded by all these reminders of your pain. She paused. And you would not be alone. You would have me. Marcus looked at her. This impossible woman who had walked into his life 3 months ago and changed everything. This alien who understood him better than any human ever had. This soldier who shared his burdens without flinching. Your people, he said slowly. Would they accept me? A human? Violet smiled. My people are curious about humans. They find you fascinating. And anyone who carries Velthora is treated with respect on my world. You would be welcomed. I promise you that. But I do not speak your language. I do not know your customs. I would be completely lost. I would teach you, and you would learn. Humans are good at adapting. It is one of your greatest strengths. She squeezed his hand tighter. Marcus, I am not asking you to decide right now. I am just asking you to think about it. To consider the possibility of a different future. A future where you do not have to carry your weight alone. Marcus was quiet for a long time. He looked around the apartment. At the bare walls. At the empty bookshelves. At all the spaces where life should have been, but was not. Then he looked back at Violet. At her silver eyes full of hope. At her glowing patterns that pulsed with nervous energy. At this strange, beautiful, wonderful being who had seen all his broken pieces and wanted him anyway. You know what? He said finally. I do not need time to think about it. Violet's patterns flickered. You do not? No. The answer is yes. I will come with you. Her whole face lit up. Her patterns exploded into bright colors. Blues and purples and gold swirled across her skin like fireworks. She threw her arms around him and held him tight. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, Marcus. He held her back. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest. It was faster than a human heartbeat, stronger, but it meant the same thing. Thank you, he said, for finding me, for seeing me, for not giving up on me. They held each other for a long time. Outside the window, the stars continued to appear one by one. Somewhere out there, far beyond the light of Earth's sun, was a planet covered in water where great cities floated on the waves. A planet with 3 moons and songs that humans had never heard. His new home. Marcus thought about the 17 names he carried. He thought about the weight of the Velthara that would never fully leave him. But for the first time in years, that weight did not feel crushing. It felt bearable, because he was not carrying it alone anymore. Violet, he said. Yes? I think I am ready to hope again. She pulled back and looked at him. Her silver eyes were wet with tears. Her people cried too. He had learned that. That is good, she said, because hope is what makes us keep going. Even when everything is dark, even when the storm is too strong, we look for the light, and we walk toward it, together. Marcus smiled, a real smile, full and warm and true. Together, he agreed. Outside, the stars blazed on. Countless worlds. Countless possibilities. And somewhere among them, a future that neither of them could have imagined 3 months ago. A future built not on the ruins of the past, but on something new. Something fragile and precious and worth protecting. Love. The food arrived. They ate together on the couch, laughing about Violet's cooking disaster. They talked about the journey ahead, about what to pack, about who to tell, about the adventure waiting for them among the stars. And for the first time in 5 years, Marcus Cole looked forward to tomorrow. The end.